Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Nicole if you guys don't know me, and this video is going to be on marble. So I know marble's been around for quite some time now, but I really wanted to do a video that was going to help everyone with having just the right products to use. So real quick, I'm just grabbing a piece of paper towel and I'm going to show you guys the swatches. So this one is D&D's, and this one I find is actually probably one of the best ones. Then I have the Apres. This is Christrio or Christrio. This is Bombay. I got this one from Michael's. It's actually a very pigmented Indian ink. It's non-toxic, which is something that is very important for you to look for if you're going to start using inks like this from craft stores, to make sure that it's not going to irritate your client's skin. So the Apres bottle that you just saw, as well as this bottle, are both mixes of the Bombay's Indian ink. One was with acetone and isopropyl alcohol, and the other one was just isopropyl alcohol. So that last one there is isopropyl alcohol and the Bombay. And then the second last one is acetone, isopropyl, and the Bombay. So real quick, I just want to make note of how all of the inks are dispersed on the paper towel. So if you notice that real Indian ink isn't really dispersed and the other ones seem to be absorbed into the paper towel fairly quickly. So this also is an indicator on how well it's going to spread and bleed on the nail as you pretty much sculpt it into that perfect marble design. Another thing I want to point out is the tones of each of the inks. So as you can see, some of these are really pigmented, whereas others are not so pigmented. So this is also important, and you're going to see as I have all the swatches lined up together on why the pigmentation of the ink is very important, especially for a black marble design. If it's a color, you can kind of get away with it, and you can chalk it up to different colors and whatnot. So not everybody has the same thing. So sometimes it's easier to get away with like a purple or a blue, but black, it has a very distinctive color. So you want to be mindful of all that. Okay, so for the design, I use Gelixir. This is a really nice pigmented white polish. This is the matte top coat that I use. This is by Coupa. It's probably the best matte coat I've ever come across in my entire life. It will stain at probably the 2.5-3 week mark, but honestly it's really good. Okay, so these little stands I got from my nail supply store that's by me in Mississauga, Nails R Us. I believe these were only I feel like they were maybe $7. I could put a link in the description for the website so you guys could find them nice and easy, because I know Amazon is selling these things for like $25. So to avoid that, I got y'all. So in order to do the design, I'm just doing a quick single base of the white polish. I do not have a base coat on this because it's just for design purposes, but if you are going to be doing this on a client's hands, just make sure that you are doing the base coat and 2 coats of polish, just to make sure that it's nice and pigmented. After I do that, I'm just going to put the top coat on these to make sure that they're matte, just so the design sticks and it works well. Okay, so now that that is out of the lamp, I'm just gonna have a dappen dish by me. I'm going to be using acetone, and this is isopropyl alcohol going in next. So I'm gonna start off with the D&D one. I'm just gonna do a full video so you guys can see how I do the design. I'm just using a cheapy brush that I bought from Amazon. I'm pretty sure that was like $5 and it came in a pack of 30. So you don't need anything specific in terms of brush, but you just want something that is going to be small enough for the job and is not going to disintegrate, considering that you're going to be using acetone. So this brush I found to be perfect, and if it gets destroyed, I'm not really losing that much money, so I can't really complain. So right beside me, I just have a piece of paper towel that I'm going to be using to blotting out the brush that I have, just to make sure that there's not a bunch of ink or a bunch of alcohol in the brush. So it helps create a better design when you're not flooding the area with either the ink or the alcohol. And in order to make this design, believe it or not, you could just be free-handed. You don't have to make it perfect. You don't have to make it pretty. This is not the part where you're making it nice. You're just laying down the ink in the general design that you want. I tend to do it in what I would call a wishbone shape. So it's either I have the U at the top and then I have a tail, or I start with the tail and I have the U at the bottom, just like how I have it right now. And you're just gonna start blotting. And it's really that simple, super easy. What I would consider that you do is that you work from the outside and then you kind of create a line, if that makes sense. So that way your design has a spine, and that spine helps with the veins of the marble and just make sure that it looks authentic. So as you can see, I'm not being gentle, I'm not being really nice with it. I'm just kind of blotting wherever I feel I need to. I disperse the excess alcohol and ink off of my brush into the paper towel. Then I go back into the alcohol and then I start dabbing again. And it's really just that easy. If you find that you're getting naked areas or you want to darken that area a bit, you can go back to the alcohol the ink, and just add another dot of the ink and then disperse that again with the alcohol, just to kind of fill up your space, and it makes it look a lot more natural and authentic.
I'd like to do a song for those of you who take LSD. I'd like to do a song for those of you who take LSD.
Okay, and once you're happy with the design that you've created, you just let it dry. You can go on to the next nail, you can finish it up, and then afterwards, you just top coat it, and it's really that simple. Okay, so this one I'm gonna go through a little bit faster because you've seen how to do it, but this is just to speak on the consistencies of each of the pigments. So this is gonna be the Apres. I like Apres consistency a lot. I think it's probably my favorite out of all of them. The only thing that I do not like is that when you begin to bleed out the black from the Apres, it actually does this weird brown thing. And it works in some cases where like it doesn't impact the design too much if the brown kind of complements whatever nude or base color that I'm using on the other nails, but it's not black, and that bothered me a lot. So I would have to probably give this ink maybe like a 7 out of 10, to be completely honest with you. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. I love the way it bleeds. I love the way it veins and everything, but I just wasn't feeling it. This one is a whole joke and a half. Like, what is that? When I tell you, when I bought this, I was so excited to use it because I was like, oh my gosh, Apres let me down because it was brown. And then I put this on the nail and it was blue. What is that? I was so upset. And this is again why I'm telling you guys that you have to be really mindful and careful of the inks that you are using, because even though it said it's black, and I guess, yeah, we can argue and sit here and say that that is black-esque, it's blue. Like, it literally matches my nail. It's like navy blue. Like, look at the two different. Oh my god. It was so bad. I was so upset. I digress. Okay, so this is the Bombay one. And now, going back to when I was telling you guys about how it doesn't bleed on the paper towel, this is one of those moments where this is why it's important to see how well it bleeds out, because it just kind of stuck on the nail. It didn't bleed nicely at all. It just sat there. It was really hard to disperse it. It was really hard to get any veins going through it without it looking just like ink stains all over the nail. So this one I would definitely give a 0 out of 10 because I didn't find it useful whatsoever for the design. It made my life extremely difficult. I'm pretty sure if I were to do this to a client, they'd probably be crying inside and they would probably tell me to take it off. To be honest, I would tell myself to take it off. Okay, so this is the Indian ink mixed with acetone and alcohol. So this one, honestly, I liked how black it was, but I kind of just wish that it was a little bit more pigmented. And even though the Indian ink is extremely pigmented, once you start diluting it with other things to make sure that it is manageable to get around the nail, it does impact its pigmentation quite a bit. So that was one reason why I didn't like this one so much. So this is one of those ink moments where you hand make it, and by all means it is possible. I just probably haven't come up with the right concoction for it yet to get it to work the way that I want it to. I've had half of mine to add the Indian ink to another ink, but I'm honestly kind of scared of ruining a $18 bottle of alcohol ink to do that, so we're not gonna do that.
I'd like to do a song for those of you who take LSD.
Last but not least, this is my last concoction that I created to try and do this marble design. This one I didn't like at all. So this one was just the Indian ink mixed with isopropyl alcohol. I really do feel that you do need that acetone in the mix in order to get it moving. Otherwise, it just dries on the nail, and very similar to just having the Indian ink on the nail itself, it just kind of stuck there. It was really hard to move. It was actually almost impossible to move, as you can see. Like, it just stayed in that little blob that I had created when I laid the ink down, and it just wasn't a good turnout. So I didn't enjoy this one at all. Okay, people, here is the reveal. So after it's all dried, I'm just adding that top coat to it. And the top coat honestly is really what makes this come alive. Like as soon as that shine goes over it, it is honestly, it's glorious. It's such a, I don't know, it's such a turn on. Like just look at that. It's beautiful. I just want to cry. Like look how nice that is. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. All right, so here you can see that the D&D is definitely my favorite. This Christrio one is a whole joke and a half. It's so blue. And these being the ones that I've made, honestly, I feel like it's not that bad considering that I made the ink. It veined out really nicely, which is why I'm not too crybaby about it. The one that just has the isopropyl alcohol in it is probably the worst one out of all of these. As much as I can't stand that the fact that this pigment is blue, it bled really nicely. It marbled really easily, and it was easy to vein everything out to give that authentic marble look. The Apres, again, as you can see, having them lined up together like that, it's very brown in comparison to all the other ones. And so I still kind of have an issue with that. My favorite out of all of them is definitely the D&D alcohol ink. It's actually the cheaper one out of all of them, surprisingly enough. So that's why I can't really complain too much about it. But yeah, so I hope this video helped you all out with, you know, picking the right ink, making sure that sometimes even though it does cost a certain amount of money, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best option. So hopefully you can use this video and make appropriate purchases. So even if you like the Christrio ink because it's blue because you want to use it for a blue design, by all means grab the black. But in terms of what I was trying to go for, it just wasn't it. So I really hope that this video helped you all to save some money, to make sure that you guys don't go out buying the wrong stuff or unnecessary stuff for that matter. And yeah, if you found that this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you have any other questions or anything like that, be sure to just put it in the comment section down below. I leave that open for you guys. I like hearing suggestions from you all, just so I know what to make next. But yeah, so thanks for watching the video. I know it was a bit of a long one, but thanks for hanging in there. I appreciate you all, and see you guys in the next video.